I often get asked a question, how do you get free books? And by free books I mean advanced reader copies, review copies. How do you get authors or publishers to send you books? And do you need a whole lot of followers for it? Well, the answer is no, you don't. And here is how I do it. In this video I wanted to talk about how the publishing world works. What are advanced reader copies? Why do publishers send out review copies? And what do you have to do to get your hands on them? This video will give you a bit of a layout on how I do it, how others do it, and how you can do it for yourself. It will have tips and tricks as well as my own experiences with advanced reader copies and review copies, so by the end of this video you will be able to go out and do it for yourself. Now I will be talking about lots of resources today and I will link them all down below in the description so you can do your own research. So first and foremost, there is no such thing as a free book. Authors and publishers do send out these free copies, but they have a reason to do it. They ask themselves, what's in it for me? Books get sent out for a lot of reasons. Maybe they want proofreaders. Maybe they want opinions of readers before the book is even launched. Or maybe they want to get the buzz going before the book has even launched. Especially for newer authors or for small publishing agencies, it's not always as easy to get into the big chain stores. So this is where the pull strategy comes into play. If you can generate some buzz or hype around the book at its launch, a lot of people will go to their bookstore and ask for it. If enough people do so, the bookstore will be willing to buy in the book and put it on their shelves. The customer pulls the book into the bookstore. And this is where especially advanced reader copies and review copies come into play. So yes, as a reviewer, you will become part of this whole marketing scheme that publishers and authors use. So there is no such thing as a free book. How do you get into this game? Well, first and foremost, you need a presence. In most cases, this will be an online presence. An Instagram, a YouTube, a TikTok account, even a book blog or an e-zine. All of these things are absolutely perfect. Even your Goodreads page, which you might already have today, could be a perfect medium to start this ARC journey. As long as you're reviewing books on there, of course. Which brings me to my next point, and that is, it is not just sufficient to have a presence. You need to be active. If a publisher or an author lands on your page or platform and they see that your last post was one of 6 months ago, that might not bode well. But it's not just a game of posting content. It's also a game of engaging with the community, engaging with publishers alike, engaging with authors you follow. Just be an active member of that community. Follow, like, comment, share. These are very, very important steps to show that you're an active member, that you are someone they might want to go into a partnership with. And this is also why it doesn't really tend to matter how many followers you have. A lot of marketeers today in publishing and different look for engagement more than they look for numbers. Yes, you might have an account with 10k followers, but if nothing really moves and no one gets excited on that account, that might not be a very good account to promote a book on. Instead, that one account with 200 followers that gets discussions going, that gets commenting going, that people start to share posts from, now that's an ideal account to promote something on. At least from a marketeer's point of view. So no, it is not always a numbers game. I think I scored my first ARC ever when I had something like 200 followers on TikTok. Hadn't even started with YouTube yet. So it's not about followers, it's about engagements, it's about being an active member of a community. So now you have some sort of platform, you're active, you're posting, you're engaging. Now it is time to ask to request for your first ARC or review copy. Now in my opinion there are two ways you can go about this. There is the personal way and you can go through an intermediary. For a beginner, I feel that the intermediary way might be simpler, but you do you. Intermediaries are often websites or online services that function as a marketplace. On one end you have authors and publishers coming to this marketplace to promote their newest books, and on the other end there are the reviewers, the readers who would love to get their hands on those books. And then it is a question of supply and demand. There are many services, many websites like this, and I will link them down below in the description. And I think NetGalley is probably the largest and the most famous one. NetGalley is this website where you can make a profile, tell the world what you like to read, and request certain ARCs that are offered there. Now, NetGalley only does ebooks and audiobooks, if I'm not mistaken, so it's not a great means to grow your collection, but if you just want to get reading and get reviewing, it is a perfect way to start. And it is simple. You just scroll through the website, look at what ARCs are currently available, and request the ones that interest you. If you get selected, you will get an email and you will be able to download the ebook or audiobook onto your device. Now, the second way to do it is a more personal approach. You can go into a personal conversation with an author, with a publisher, either through their social media or through an email. This can be as simple as an email in which you tell them who you are, what you do, link to your platform or page, perhaps give some examples of things that you did in the past, and ask them for a certain book. Before you send an email like that, do your research, because often the larger publishing houses like Penguin or HarperCollins, they have their own way of applying to get onto their influencers list, and just sending an email won't cut it. So do check on the publisher website to see how they work and how they do it. And like I said, social media is another great way to interact with publishers or authors. Keep an eye on their social media platforms, because often they will ask for proofreaders, for ARC readers on there as well. Now, with all of these ways, there is one golden rule, and that is don't be greedy. Don't be greedy for two reasons, really. One, it is not polite. No one likes someone who asks the whole back catalog of a publisher to proofread. But secondly, it is not realistic. If you apply for 10 ARCs on NetGalley and suddenly you get 8 of them, those are 8 books you have to read and review by a certain deadline. Now, I personally don't really tend to ask for ARCs through websites like that anymore, because one, I have enough things to read already, and two, I am very picky when it comes to ARCs. I have certain publishers that I have a personal relationship with by now. They don't even ask anymore, do you want to review this or that copy? They just give me their catalog for the new releases and say, take your pick. And again, don't be greedy. I'll pick 1, maybe 2 books that I definitely like, and sometimes I will even say there's nothing this season that actually interests me. So be honest, be a reliable partner, and you will get these great personal relationships with authors or publishers. When you ask for an ARC or review copy, it is always good to check or even impose some terms and conditions yourself. Be certain to know what they expect from you. Do they expect someone to proofread a copy? I mean, do you even send a list of all the typos you find? Or do they look for someone who is just a reviewer? Do they expect one post, perhaps a post on several platforms? Make sure you know what they want. But also be clear about what you can deliver. If you're not on TikTok, make sure they know you can't deliver a TikTok movie. Another great thing to discuss upfront is, what do you do if you don't like the book they sent you? You are not obligated to give a 5-star, everyone should read this book kind of review if you didn't like it, just because they send you a free copy. On the other hand, a devastating review might not get you on their influencer list in the future. So what do? Well, I always make the little arrangement that if I don't like a book they send me, I will simply not review it online. I will say thank you, and that's it. I have this habit of making content about books I like and not about books I dislike. So if I dislike a book they send me, I will simply not talk about it. And they know so upfront. A last important point of discussion is timing and deadlines. If a publisher is looking for reviewers to create a buzz upon launch of a book, then there will be a strict timing and a strict deadline for you to make your content. So make sure you ask about it if they don't tell you right away. Knowing a deadline and timing will not just allow you to make your own content calendar, but it will also allow you to get an insight in how many books you can order or request for review. It does not need to be said that timings and deadlines are in play for a reason, and you have to be able to make them as a reviewer. Now, if for some reason you can't, again, communicate. Get in touch, tell them something has happened, something has come up and you won't be able to make the deadline, so they can at least make arrangements for perhaps another reviewer to come into play. Be honest, be open, communicate. And while we're talking about terms and conditions, let's make a little segue into the legal side of matters. It is good to familiarize yourself with the legal side of the platform of the content that you are using. There are always a set of rules in play on how you can showcase gifted or free content on a certain platform. And these rules will vary from platform to platform. They are different for YouTube, they are different for TikTok, they are different for Instagram, you name it. So make sure you follow these rules. Now, I can't give you a detailed overview for each and every one of these platforms, but you can easily find that sort of information online. If you need some help on the YouTube side of matters, which I do know, do hit me up down below in the comments and I'll happily walk you through it. Now, the general gist of the matter is always the same. You have to clearly indicate that you're talking about a gifted, a free product, that you were sent this book or this product for free by the publisher and that you're now reviewing or talking about it. And if you want to get really serious into this reviewing game or into receiving lots of ARCS, then it might be useful to look into your own country's tax rules. In some countries, like Belgium for example, you have to pay taxes on everything you receive, even free products. If you plan to receive lots of free ARCS, if you hope to get paid for reviews by publishers, then by all means it is paramount that you check out taxes and keep everything legal and correct. And by now you might have received and read some of the ARCS you had requested. Now it is time to deliver. Do remember to tag authors and publishers in the post that you make, just to give them a heads up that you're reviewing their books. Just make sure you deliver what they asked for on time on your platforms. But for me it doesn't stop there. I personally am a great fan of some aftercare. I always tend to follow up with an email, just to say thanks, give them the direct links on where they can find the content they asked for, and perhaps already give them some analytics, like how is the post doing. If you enjoyed this partnership, then by all means let them know, and perhaps let them know as well that you're available for future projects. Attention to detail and aftercare like this will build your reputation. It will build a professional, trusting relationship with many authors, with many publishers, and will get you more review copies, more ARCS in the future. Now, I know this sounds like a lot of work, but it really isn't. Once you know what you're doing, you will get into this flow and ARCS will come your way. I personally am at that point where I don't need to ask for a lot of ARCS anymore, and I can be very, very picky about what I read. I review what I think I will like reading. I review the books that I might just have bought myself if they hadn't offered them to me. But don't tell them. And so can you. I hope this video has answered a lot of the questions I get asked regularly. But if you have some more questions or you have some good practices of your own, let's dive into the comments and talk ARCS some more. That's it for me for this week. Thank you for watching. Do leave a like, do leave a comment, and if you're looking for some bookish recommendations, you can always go here.